we'll take a deep dive into hacking, cybersecurity, and why you really need to know about this with Julio Rivera on this episode of United Patriots Uprising with Gary Binford. I'm your host, Gary Binford. Thanks for joining us. This podcast is available at radioinfluence.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. The video version you can find at YouTube, Rumble, the God Family and Country Television Network, Conservative Television of America, and the Rose Unplugged Media Network. Wherever you go to watch or listen to this show, please hit that subscribe button so you receive notifications every time a show airs, and be sure to tell your friends about the show. I remember back in the day, it seems back in the day, although it wasn't that long ago, when Sarah Palin, when she was a big politician and got hacked. I think she got hacked by his kid. And then you hear about a hack here and, here a hack, there a hack, everywhere a hack. Well, the problem now is we're hearing that, did the Trump campaign really get hacked by a foreign country? Did Hillary Clinton get hacked? Did the Harris campaign get hacked? This looks like it's becoming a serious problem. Well, it really is a serious problem, and our guest is here to talk about it. And if it's going to affect the big wigs running for serious, like president, vice president, and other very serious offices in our country, it's going to affect you. So, you ready to hear about it? Well, let's get into it. He's a political commentator and cybersecurity researcher who uses his unique insights to merge the intersection of cybersecurity, politics, and national defense. He's a regular contributor to prominent TV and media outlets, the likes of Newsmax, Fox News, Town Hall, and Scripps News. He's the founder of itfunk.org that has just released a groundbreaking cyber apocalypse mini movie. I welcome to the show, Julio Rivera. How you doing, Julio?
I am fantastic, Gary. I'm really happy to finally be able to come on.
And Julio, I'm glad to have you because people are probably scratching their head and saying, wait a minute, you talk about Marxism and communism and the attempted communism and Marxist takeover of America. Why are we talking about cybersecurity? Well, tell them why, Julio, because unfortunately, this is probably, as you have told me, one of the things we need to know about that most Americans really don't have that much of an idea of how dangerous this is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we're kind of underinformed on this issue. I think it's underreported in the media, quite frankly. And, it ties into kind of your stance against Marxism and whatnot, because a lot of the way the thought processes of Americans are being led through big tech. So in a sense, that has a lot of cyber connotations to it as well. Just to give you something just off of the top, Google has had issues with hackers. There's actually a type of hacking referred to as malvertising. And malvertising is when hackers buy ads through Google for websites, and people go on those websites and they either download something from the website or just getting on the website, unfortunately, starts to download viruses and keyloggers and Trojans onto your computer. And it was a big problem that Google was trying to remediate. But even through something as legitimate as Google, which we all go on a regular basis, there's issues with hacking related to that. And I don't know if you heard about this, Gary. I'm sure you probably did because you're into the news. Kamala Harris's campaign was actually purchasing Google ads, and they were doing something which is headline manipulation, where they go ahead and they share an article from CBS, NBC, all these quote unquote legitimate, mainstream media news sources. But on her actual ad, they changed the headline of the article to try to make it seem more favorable. And it was a practice that Google was actually allowing, that the Trump campaign and, leaders within there were actually calling out Google for.
You got to stop right there, and I'm glad you did, because here's something that to me is very dangerous. And we have seen this. It goes back to Hillary Clinton, it goes back to other people. Because of all this, here a hack, there a hack, everywhere a hack. Because of this, there can be real hacks, but there can be face hacks, fake hacks. So, for instance, the Harris campaign or somebody or Gulag Gavin Newsom, they post or say something, or something comes out and they say, no, that really wasn't me, I was hacked. So now, how do we know if it was really somebody was hacked, or if they got caught and they're just going to say it was hacked? How can we know now?
Well, I mean, I guess it would have to do more or less with what was shared. If there was something that was obviously a counter to their message, then you could probably ascertain that it may have been a hack, or if it was just something stupid or bad information, then it probably wasn't a hack. You know, there was a funny one where the press secretary for Biden actually
yeah.
Yes, actually, she sent a tweet, or I guess, do they still call them tweets on X now, since it's called X? I don't know what a post,
Yeah.
and whatever, where she was kind of impersonating Joe Biden, because we realize now that Joe Biden doesn't run his own Twitter; it's actually her, and that actually came out because of a mistake that they made online. So, yeah, there's a lot of funny things going on in the cybersphere in relation to social media, Gary.
Okay, well, thank you, Julio. Julio, first, let's back up a little bit for a lot
Yeah.
of people, because I know, like, a lot of people that are older, that are part of the cassette, they go back to, now then we had the DVDs, and now we have all this new
Yeah, they
high
go
tech
back
stuff.
to Betamax.
Right, to
And,
the people that go back to VCRs and stuff. Like my best friend is still using VCR tapes. Uh, a lot of this high tech stuff, a lot of older people just haven't got caught on to, nor do they care. So please, first off, tell people, what is cybersecurity, and what is hacking, and how does it happen, and why is it so dangerous?
well, it happens on a daily basis. There are literally millions of hacks on a daily basis. But basically, what it would boil down to in practical application for the typical American is that all of our devices can be compromised, whether it's our laptops, whether it's our cell phones, whether it's our tablets. I think most people that grew up in the last couple of generations have kind of grown up with the idea of device safety because they've grown up with devices. But like you're saying, older folks, there's a particular issue that they should have concern with, because a lot of them are not quite as tech savvy. They didn't grow up with a computer in their home. They didn't, probably start using smartphones or these types of devices until it became the absolute norm. I mean, don't really see people with a home phone anymore. Most everyone has a cell phone. Therefore, they have email, they have applications, and also they go online and they go on the internet to check things and whatnot. And really, your device can be hacked very, very easily by just checking an email. There's what they refer to as social engineering. Hackers can go ahead and try to make guesses about you and what kind of person you are. If you're from a certain generation, maybe that you would be more likely to click on an email that's talking about things that are relevant to you. Maybe they can send you something that's a supposed Medicare update, and that there's a document. Click on this document to find out new changes to your coverage. And next thing you know, you click it and you've downloaded a Trojan, a keylogger. These types of malware can actually go ahead and steal your personal information as you're typing it into your device. Let's say you go on your banking app or whatnot. They'll steal your credentials. Then all of a sudden they have access to your checking account number, your ACH number, and they can commit fraud. Or if they can get you typing in something, a lot of times they'll send you documentation or something that looks like a legitimate, oh, we need you to update your information for your healthcare insurance or for your bank. They'll send you something that looks like it's from your bank. Next thing you know, you're innocently typing in your name, you're typing in your social security number, your mother's maiden name. Now they've got everything. They can go ahead and do any sort of transaction or basically mimic you. And you think about it, most of the mortgages that are going on from day to day nowadays are done online. People aren't going to their neighborhood bank and documents are checked all digitally. They have access if they have a Trojan on your computer, if you have pictures of your ID or pictures of your passport or any of that kind of information, they can go ahead and do that, and they can manipulate basically these financial institutions into giving them money under your name that you are therefore responsible for having to pay back. And it really does cause a financial nightmare for a lot of people. There's that, and then there's other hacks. There's the larger fish. These are like the kind of articles that I write about for places like Newsmax and Town Hall and whatnot, about hacks against potentially infrastructure. Military hacking. China's hacked the United States Navy on several occasions. An infrastructure attack against the United States can be potentially devastating. So basically on IT Funk, we talk about different issues related to security, and I would suggest all of your viewers to definitely check that out because it's important that we learn what the threats are. We also offer a free scanner for your computer, either a PC or Mac. You can scan your computer to make sure you don't have any Trojans or any type of malware or keyloggers, spyware, any of that kind of stuff on your computer. But we also have on the website what you had referred to earlier, a cyber apocalypse mini movie. Basically, it's only about 3 minutes long, but I suggest everyone watch it. It's under the free scan tab at itfunk.org, or you can check it on the IT Funk YouTube page. And it basically goes into the scenario that if hackers took over infrastructure, the power grid, the water system, financial systems, they can literally create a cyber apocalypse, which would cause massive death and destruction even, because if they take over the power grid and they take hospitals offline, people won't be able to get the proper medication. There may not be electricity to the hospital. And we're talking about people that are, really on the edge, that are in a bad way in the hospital. You can wipe out a certain percentage of the population really quickly that way. And, we always talk about what would the world be like if the power grid went out. It would not be anything like, what we're used to experiencing on a daily basis. It really would throw America back into the Stone Age in a matter of a couple of hours.
This is devastating and scary stuff, Julio. And my best friend has always asked this question, and you're the first person I get to ask it to for an answer. There's a very simple way to stop this, but maybe you can tell me why it's not being done. If you hack somebody and you get caught, 30 years to life in prison. That would end it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you know what? I've said the same thing about hacking, and not only hacking, election fraud.
Why isn't this being done?
Because I can't tell you that. I mean, from the judicial side, I don't know if there's people that exist within our government, within the judicial branch, within the legislative branch, which really they can go ahead and pitch that as a part of sweeping legislation to protect America from cyber hackers. I think it would work. I think that, if people think that, but the other thing too is you can create a false digital imprint. So there's a lot of things that, you can set somebody up to make it look like they committed the hack and it wasn't even them and it originated from somewhere else. That's the thing. And what makes cybercrime so attractive for criminals is the anonymity of it. And that's why ransomware has taken off in such a big way, because so many of these payments, these hackers are requesting payment in cryptocurrency now. They're requiring you to send them in Bitcoin or whatever other type of voodoo currency out there exists. I don't believe in cryptocurrency. I think it's nonsense. I think it's built on literally nothing, and it's just a big scam. But that's whatever. That's neither here nor there. But the anonymity of it, you can go on the dark web. You don't even have to be a hacker. You and I, Gary, can become hackers overnight. If we go on the dark web, there's hacking groups that develop the software, the actual malware, and we can purchase it. It's called RAAS. Like, you've heard of software as a service, right? SaaS. They have ransomware, RAAS, as a service. And you can literally buy the malware. You can buy it embedded into attachments like PDFs. And then you can just buy yourself an email list, because everybody's email is out there on the internet. So the dark web has all this information, and you can do a widespread ransomware campaign, sending emails out And if people should download that email, all of a sudden, guess what? Boom, they're infected with the ransomware. Their files are getting encrypted automatically by the software. So it's basically that's the reason why, in a lot of ways, a lot of people don't really understand how easy, how widespread, how prevalent it is. A lot of what, like every day, you probably because you're communicating with people, your emails out there, you're dealing with media and all sorts of things, Gary. How many times do you get weird emails that
I
are
don't open
saying, "Oh,
them.
you don't open them"? Exactly. You're smart enough to not open them, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't as smart as we are, and they will make that mistake. And next thing they know, their device has basically been taken hostage, and unless they pay $500 to $5,000 in a lot of cases, they can't get their information back. And then when you talk about the big game hunting, like the Colonial Pipeline hack, those computers, those systems got taken hostage, but they weren't looking for 500 to 5,000. No, they were looking
Yeah,
for millions of dollars.
millions.
Millions.
Yeah, I hear you, Julio, and it's not because I'm smart. It's because I got burned. I don't even open stuff from my health care. I don't open anything. And all the people that know me, all my doctors and everybody, I don't even use my phone. I don't even use my cell phone that way. I have a joke, and women get a kick out of this because I say I don't tweet, I don't text, and I don't twerk. And I don't do
Yeah.
any of that. And I very seldom do I even use that phone except to say hello, goodbye. Now here's the scary thing to me. If some 16-year-old can hack into a government center or can hack into a big time politician, as you know, we have Iran, we have China, we have Russia, among other bad actors. And did Trump get hacked really by somebody, the campaign? And how concerned should we be if a 16-year-old can do this, that major countries that are trying to bring us down can do this?
Well, we should be very concerned. And that's what speaks to the whole cyber apocalypse angle that I was speaking about earlier. Yes, the Trump campaign actually was hacked. Supposedly, the FBI saying also the Harris campaign was. I don't know about that necessarily. We obviously know that Russia hacked the DNC back in 2016, and John Podesta was hacked. And they found all those embarrassing materials that were released in WikiLeaks about when they were talking about the Hispanic vote, about the Taco Bowl engagement, and the way that they referred to some of the black staffers and things like that. Maybe in the DNC, because we know the Democrats are really the racist party, but by far. And then so maybe that I think that we're probably trying to hack. I would think that they definitely tried to hack Trump to try to see if there was anything that they can find damaging, because I would think that Iran would rather have the Hamas wing of the Congress, which is the Democrats. When you look at the Squad and a lot of the anti-Semitic sort of sentiment that exists within that party, I'm sure that they would rather have Kamala Harris win. So if they did hack, it was probably for general recon, and for Trump, it was probably for general recon, and they wanted to see if maybe there's something that they can have released to the American media through a proxy that might be damaging to the campaign.
I hear you. Now, speaking of the campaign, we can't lose this. If Trump does not win this election and they get back in and they pack the court and they could continue on with their Communist Manifesto, we're going to be in big trouble here. So how concerned should we be with this election about hacking and what could be going on cyber-wise in this election? And how can we make sure that this isn't, under control? And that even goes, wouldn't you say, to the Dominion machines?
Yes, and no. I mean, they make claims. I mean, obviously, there was at the big cyber convention a couple of weeks back. Hackers were able actually to hack into the voting machines. Now, the official word from the election officials is that those machines are not actually online, which I'm not exactly sure that I believe. I think that's a lot of malarkey, to be honest with you. I think at one point, because even when you have to transmit to the central officials, the actual election results from every district. At that point, that information has to, or the machine or some mechanism attached to the machine has to be placed on the internet in order to transmit the information. So the whole thing that the machines are not online, I think is more fiction than fact. But what I'm worried about is the AI element to all of this and deepfakes. Deepfakes are something I'm very concerned with because I've already seen the power of deepfakes. Like, I skipped a generation. I'm like in my 40s, but my parents had me at close to 40, or they were like 40. So I have a lot of aunts and uncles and relatives that are like of an older generation. And I'm like the political go-to in my family. I'm the guy that they always come to and they send me articles and they send me videos, because they're just learning how to use Facebook and Messenger and all that. They send me a lot of times these deep fake videos that purport to be either Donald Trump or Kamala Harris making statements that they didn't actually make. Now, these could be statements that are damaging to that particular demographic. It'll be something like a fake video, Trump saying that he's going to cut Social Security or something like that, or Kamala Harris saying that she's going to expand it, or anything like that, like things that were never actually said. And these deepfake videos will basically put the voice in synchronization with a video of them speaking, so it looks like it's actually the person. And these videos are, to a savvy eye, someone like yourself or myself that's, online a lot or doing media and stuff like that, we can tell when we're looking at something that's a deep fake. Now, an older American may not have as discerning an eye, and they may unfortunately fall into believing what, somebody is trying to get them to believe by creating these deep fake videos.
Oh, wow. Again, that's what I'm saying. People should be going to jail for this stuff. Julio, how do you see this election? And by the way, you're in your 40s. See, I'm 73, but you're in your 40s. So I lived through a lot. I lived through real racism. I know what racism looks like. This is not it. I also know who has which party is. It's amazing to me that the Democrats that blocked the civil rights movement and did everything, now they've rewritten the history books. The history books have been changed. I understand why. I understand how the communists and Marxists, they've taken over the evangelical church, they've taken over Hollywood, the media, they've taken over the colleges and everything. So I understand why it is like it is. But you came up with it kind of with your feet up into the sauce. I watched this just come from nothing. But if you want to go back to the Frankfurt School, it really started in the 30s. But the point I'm trying to make is, how do we reach people of your generation that a lot of what's going on now, it's been their way of life? See, for me, it wasn't the way of life. I grew up with back in the 50s where there were almost all black families had two parents in the home. There wasn't abortion. There weren't kids out of wedlock. The worst thing that could happen would be for me to be seen on the news being carried out in handcuffs. No black kid wanted to do that back then. They'd be, isn't that Deacon is Binford's son? How'd they raise that boy? That's how I was raised. But your generation was raised with a lot of this stuff, this craziness. So how do we reach people to tell them this isn't the way it's supposed to be?
Well, in terms of the actual election, I've always said that, I say this whenever I go on media, we got to draw the contrast between the America that we had in 2019 versus the America that we find today. In terms of what you brought up a lot of great points. It was a lot to unpack there, but let me just, I want to hit a couple of things on what you said. Yes, they have rewritten history, because people have forgotten that the Democrats filibustered the 1964 Civil Rights Act for 2 months. For 2 months, they filibustered it. And then it became about the ideology switch, which is the biggest lie ever. It's what all the pseudo-intellectuals, all the people that are being indoctrinated through these Marxist camps, is what I like to call the colleges. That's really what they are, Marxist camps. If you really think about it, there was only one major legislator that literally switched parties, and that was Strom Thurmond. Outside of Strom Thurmond, who else switched from parties. Nobody that you could really mention. You know what I mean? And stuff. So it's all been a lie. And and if you look at it, all the I looked at this funny. It's funny too. I looked at a list of the history of blacks in Congress, and every legislator ever until the 1960s that was ever in Congress was a Republican.
Bingo.
And stuff, because guess what? The Democrats are the KKK party.
You go.
And don't forget it. They were the ones that wanted it. That wanted slavery and all that kind of stuff. And the Republicans, we liberated slavery. Our predecessors, obviously, way back when. So I mean, I think it's about sort of bringing these narratives to light. The problem with it is that there are a lot of people that have done this before us. Have created a lot of really good media. You look at Dinesh D'Souza and all his great documentaries, and a lot of other documentary filmmakers. And just basically having a working knowledge of real history and not the way that it's been rewritten by academia, particularly since the 1960s. And in the 1960s, if you're a person of color, that's when when I think people were targeted. And, because I think culturally, I would say similar as like a New Yorker or something like that, kind of what people refer to us. So a lot of us are culturally in the same bind with a lot of the African Americans in the inner city, or the blacks, I would say, not really African American, but blacks.
Right. There you go.
They were targeted. They were targeted in the 1960s by LBJ and the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that you just spoke about with the two the family with the two black parents, and
the welfare state killed it.
Yeah, they because the government came in and said you will no longer have to rely on the nuclear family. And we will take care of it. And a lot of people, unfortunately, went the way of big government, and I think that that's actually the worst thing that ever happened to minority communities in this country is the Democrat Party. They literally have destroyed, and they did it by destroying the moral fiber. And that's why really the most important thing out of all of this is, beyond cybersecurity, beyond elections, beyond everything, is that we need to get back to God. That's really what it comes down to. We need to get back into churches. We need to get back into scripture.
Well, as you know, Karl Marx, the first thing he did, he understood that people would either look to a benevolent God for the sustenance or government, but you couldn't do both. So the first thing he did, he got people to turn away from the church. Then he took away the guns. So when the strong arm of government took over and you wanted your country back, you couldn't take it back. And we're going down that rabbit hole here. It's got to stop, because you're right. You get away from the church and the government becomes your daddy. Obama put everybody on government jobs. So now a whole bunch of people that may understand what's going on in the country, they're afraid, hey, I work for the government. If Trump gets in, a lot of these, these meaningless government jobs that suck money instead of make money are going to be gone. But we have to win this one. Julio, it's been great speaking with you. Please tell people why they should go to your website, check out what you do and your movie, and why you've got to pay attention to this cyber security, which is something I knew nothing about until I started researching to prepare to talk to you.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's really deep. People don't understand the level of how information is power. That's ultimately the basics of why this is such an important thing on a personal level. Like you want to protect yourself in the cybersphere on the internet because your information has value to criminals. So you have to make sure that you're checking your phone, your emails, your files on your computer, particularly those, because I mean, they can go in, if they're in your computer, they can go through every folder that you have, and they can sit there and pinpoint, where you keep your really important private information and your documents and all that. Nowadays, we don't carry personal effects. Not a lot of people have old file cabinets full of files. It's all digitized now. You have to make sure that your digital effects are all protected the way that you would back in the days with like a padlock. And the best way to do that is to scan your computer regularly and make sure you have appropriate malware protection. That's why I suggest everyone go to itfunk.org and scan their computer for free. Additionally, definitely watch the cyber movie so you can understand really the scope and the danger. One thing that I wanted to point out just before we go, you had brought up Iran and Russia and China and it's also North Korea, and other countries that are smaller that are at a militaristic disadvantage against the United States. Cyber is the great equalizer for them to go ahead and try to bring a civilized society to its knees through the cyber aspect. So that's why it's really more important than people even realize. And it's very dangerous right now what's going on. And they can go in through anything. Like they can go into your job through your personal device. If you're on their Wi-Fi and you make a mistake and your device is on that system, it can infect every computer on that network. So you really, really have to make sure that you're scanning your devices regularly to make sure that you're protected from threats.
You heard it, people. This is why as soon as I heard Julio was available, I said, I have to get him on because this is something I couldn't help you with. I know nothing about this. I've learned a lot. And, I've been sure because I've been hacked. I've had issues, with the security and issues with shadow banning and everything like a lot of us do that do what we do. And protecting yourself is so important. Julio, please tell people how they can get to your website, how they can get to your movies and your products and anything else you'd like to promote.
Yeah, definitely itfunk.org. Make sure you go to itfunk.org and you'll get all the important cyber news that you need to keep up on. I would suggest that you bookmark it. We don't really cover politics in that way, but we definitely cover the cyber aspect. It's an important issue. It's a nonpartisan issue. It's the issue of this generation.
Thank you. Julio, thanks for coming on. God bless you and God bless your family.
Thank you so much, Gary. God bless you too.
There you have it, Mr. Julio Rivera. I want to thank Julio Rivera for coming on and giving us so much information about a topic that I knew very little about. Hacking and cybersecurity, unfortunately, it's on the docket, folks. If they're going to try and hack presidential candidates, they're coming after us too, because to get our personal information is really to get us. We have to protect ourselves. So thank you, Julio, for all the information you put out. And I encourage everybody to go to his website and find out more about this topic, because unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that have bad intentions. And unfortunately, as I said, those intentions are for us. This podcast is available at radioinfluence.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. The video version you can find at Rumble, YouTube, Conservative Television of America, the God Family and Country Television Network, and the Rose Unplugged Media Network. I've been on for 4 years and we've only done the video version since January. So before that, everything was on audio. And at radioinfluence.com, you can find all the audio episodes. More than 175 high-profile guests who have been on the show. The likes of Ben Carson, Clay Clark, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, Will Witt, Monica Crowley, Carol Swain, Judge Janine Pirro, Kevin Sorbo, Morgan Brittany, Carrie Lake. I could go on and on. There have just been so many outstanding guests that have been on the show. You can go back and listen and hear the audio versions. I encourage you to do that. And once again, wherever you go, please subscribe so we can send you notifications every time the show airs. Well, that's it for now, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So until the next time, this is your host, Gary Binford, saying God bless you, God bless your families, and God bless America.